The school auditorium buzzed with the usual chatter of parents, children, and teachers, but Ethan Hayes felt like the world had narrowed to a single, unbearable point. Every eye seemed to be on him. Every whispered comment, every side glance, every smirk of judgment pressed against his chest like a weight he couldn't lift. "Look at you, Ethan. A single dad, and failing at it too," his ex-wife's voice cut through the noise, sharp and cruel. Jessica's perfectly manicured fingers pointed at him as she circled like a vulture in a designer dress that probably cost more than his entire month's paycheck. Ethan's 7-year-old daughter, Lily, clutched his hand tightly. Her small frame shook, and he could feel her tiny fingers trembling in his. He lowered his gaze to hers, forcing a reassuring smile he didn't feel. "Mommy, why is she saying those things?" Lily whispered, eyes wide, her voice a fragile thread of innocence. Ethan knelt to meet her gaze, gently adjusting the blue ribbon in her hair. "Sometimes people say hurtful things when they're upset, baby. But listen to me, you are loved, always. And I'll never fail as your dad." Jessica's laughter rang through the auditorium, echoing against the walls adorned with colorful student art. Ethan felt the sting of every mocking glance. He was a former Marine, trained to face danger in war zones, yet here, in the most ordinary setting, a school event, he felt utterly powerless. He straightened, jaw clenched, shoulders squared. "Let's walk, Lily," he said quietly, guiding her away from the stairs. His uniformed civilian guise, simple navy blazer and crisp shirt, couldn't shield him from the humiliation of his former life being mocked. From the back of the room, hidden among the crowd, a pair of piercing gray-blue eyes watched him. Alexandria Winters. Billionaire CEO, reputed to be ruthless, brilliant, and cold as ice. She had come only because her nephew was participating in the art show, but what she had witnessed now would change everything. Alexandria's gaze did not waver. The entire confrontation played out like a slow-motion film in her mind, and she felt the unexpected stir of respect and curiosity for this man standing quietly in the storm of judgment, defending his daughter without a single harsh word. The next day, Ethan was already up before dawn, preparing Lily's breakfast. He carefully cut her apple slices into stars, made her favorite turkey sandwich, and slipped a handwritten note with a silly joke into her lunchbox. Lily watched him with sleepy eyes, hair tousled from bed. "Daddy, will you stay for the school bus today?" she asked, a small hope in her voice. "I wish I could, baby. But we have to get to work," he replied softly, kissing the top of her head. "I'll be back as soon as I can. Promise." At Artemis Technologies, Ethan's life was a delicate balance of professionalism and invisibility. As a senior project manager and former Marine, he had learned the art of blending into the background. No promotions, no attention, no mistakes. Until today. Stepping onto the executive floor, he noticed whispers among the staff, their eyes tracking him as if sensing the humiliation from last night had left a mark. "Mr. Hayes," a colleague murmured, "tough night, huh?" Ethan simply nodded, forcing composure. He knew the only way forward was through competence and dignity. The elevator chimed softly, opening to reveal Alexandria Winters herself, impeccably dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, her hair perfectly styled, exuding power and precision. "Mr. Hayes," she said, voice calm yet commanding, "a word before the meeting?" Ethan froze slightly. Every instinct in him screamed caution. She was the last person he expected to intervene, yet here she was, stepping into the chaos he had barely survived. Of course, Ms. Winters," he replied, swallowing the lump in his throat. She gestured toward her office. "I witnessed the event at Westlake Elementary last night. Your composure was impressive." Ethan blinked, unsure how to respond. Thank you, Ms. Winters. I just tried to keep it together for Lily." Her gray-blue eyes softened for a fraction of a second. "Many would have reacted differently. You did not. That is noteworthy." For the first time since the public humiliation, Ethan felt a flicker of hope, like the storm clouds above him had parted just enough to let a beam of light through. The morning sunlight streamed through the large glass windows of Artemis Technologies, catching on the polished floors and reflecting off the sleek chrome accents in the office. Ethan's hands were slightly shaky as he carried his project binder, but his mind was elsewhere, on the previous evening, on the look in Alexandria Winters' eyes, the first sign of recognition he'd ever received from someone in power. He walked into the conference room, careful to appear calm, professional, in control. Yet, a part of him still felt exposed, still raw from the humiliation of last night. "Morning, Mr. Hayes," called Marcos, one of the security staff, with a grin. "Saw you at Westlake. Kid's lucky to have a dad who can take that kind of blow and still hold it together." Ethan forced a smile. "Thanks, Marcos. Just doing my job as a dad, really." He passed the rows of cubicles, all quiet under the soft hum of fluorescent lights. The staff exchanged glances as he walked past, some whispered words of encouragement, others stared with curiosity. The word had already spread, the single dad who didn't crumble under public humiliation. Ethan was summoned to the CEO's office, a rare occurrence. He knocked lightly. "Enter," came her crisp voice. Alexandria Winters sat behind her minimalist desk, the city skyline behind her like a silent witness. She gestured toward the chair across from her. "I wanted to speak with you about last night," she said. "Not about your performance at work, about what I saw. You handled yourself with dignity. Most men in your position would have either snapped or shut down entirely." Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. I was just trying to protect Lily. That's all that matters." She leaned forward slightly, elbows on the desk. "And you did. That's what makes a man remarkable, not his titles, not his accomplishments, but how he protects those he loves. You showed restraint, patience, and courage." For a moment, Ethan felt as if he were no longer invisible. Someone powerful had noticed him, not his failures, not his past, but his values. The evening brought the familiar comfort of Lily's laughter. She ran to meet him at the door, small arms outstretched, her fever gone, the trauma of her mother's words fading with every hug. "Daddy, look! I painted something for you," she exclaimed, showing a watercolor of a tall man holding a little girl's hand. The figures were simple, but the emotion radiated from the page. Ethan knelt, holding the painting close. "This is amazing, Lily. I'll hang it in my office so everyone sees your masterpiece." Her eyes sparkled. "Do you think Ms. Winters would like it too?" Ethan paused. He hadn't expected Alexandria to intersect with his personal life again, but now he considered it a possibility. "I think she would." The following week, Ethan was pulled into a high-priority meeting. The Meridian project, critical for Artemis Technologies' future, was in jeopardy. "Mr. Hayes, you're leading this," Alexandria announced. "I've reviewed your notes, your analysis, your projections. You're the one I trust to see it through." Ethan was stunned. Not only had she defended his dignity, but she now entrusted him with the most crucial task of his career. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, yet for the first time, he felt capable. As he prepared the presentation, Alexandria's influence lingered in his mind, not just as a superior, but as someone who had witnessed his humanity and respected it. Days turned into weeks. Ethan noticed small changes in the office dynamics. Staff who had previously ignored him now sought his input. The CEO, once distant, would occasionally pause to ask about Lily or comment on his projects. Their interactions were brief but meaningful, words carefully chosen, glances lingering slightly longer than necessary. "Your daughter's watercolor was impressive," she mentioned during a meeting. "She has a remarkable eye for perspective." "Thank you," Ethan replied. "She's been practicing a lot." "Talent runs in families," she said softly. Her gaze lingered, and Ethan felt a flutter in his chest. On weekends, Ethan and Lily explored parks, museums, and local fairs. Every moment with her healed the lingering wounds from his divorce, from the humiliation, from the sense that life had left him behind. "Daddy, can we make pancakes shaped like dinosaurs?" Lily asked one Saturday morning, hair wild from sleep. "Absolutely," Ethan said with a grin. They laughed as flour dusted their clothes, batter spilled, and Lily's giggles echoed through the apartment. These were the victories that mattered most. It was in these small moments that Ethan realized resilience wasn't about enduring humiliation or achieving accolades, it was about showing up, every day, for the person who needed him most. The conference room was quiet except for the soft tapping of fingers on keyboards and the distant hum of the city outside. Ethan had spent the last week preparing for the Meridian Project presentation, double and triple checking every chart, every financial projection, every operational detail. But no amount of preparation could calm the fluttering in his chest each time Alexandria Winters entered the room. Her heels clicked softly against the polished floor. She carried the same air of authority she always did, but now there was something softer in her gaze when it met his, a hint of recognition, a subtle respect that went beyond professional courtesy. "Mr. Hayes," she said, voice crisp but not cold. "I've reviewed your presentation. I trust you understand the importance of today." "I do, Ms. Winters," Ethan replied, keeping his tone professional. But inside, his nerves hummed like electricity. The Meridian executives arrived promptly. Cameras flashed, not for publicity, but to record the crucial financial negotiation. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped up, projecting calm authority. As he spoke, he noticed Alexandria at the side, her eyes locked on him. It wasn't just oversight, there was pride there, subtle but unmistakable. Questions came from every direction. Projections, risk assessments, timelines, contingencies. Ethan answered each one confidently, drawing on months of preparation, experience, and instinct. The executives nodded, some impressed, some skeptical, but the overall energy was shifting in his favor. At the end, a long silence filled the room. Then the lead executive leaned forward. "Mr. Hayes, this is exceptionally thorough. We'll need a few days to finalize details, but your plan is strong." Alexandria's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "Well done," she said quietly, leaning slightly closer than necessary. Ethan's chest tightened, he felt seen in a way he hadn't before. Back at his desk, Ethan allowed himself a small exhale. The Meridian project was largely secured. His career had taken a leap forward, but the real shift was the subtle changes in his interactions with Alexandria. Meetings were punctuated by brief personal remarks, comments about Lily, casual jokes, shared smiles. Each moment was small, but it built tension, anticipation, and a quiet connection. One evening, as he worked late, he found her standing by his office door. "You're still here," she said, her voice softer than usual. "Yes," he replied. "I wanted to review the Meridian projections one more time." Her eyes studied him, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. "Ethan, you're remarkable," she said, almost whispering. "Not because of your work, but because of who you are outside this office. I saw it, at the school." Ethan froze, remembering the day she defended him in front of everyone. I try to do right by my daughter," he admitted. "That's more than enough," she said, a brief, warm smile gracing her lips before she left. But the air between them felt different, charged, expectant. That weekend, Ethan and Lily visited the local park. Leaves crunched underfoot, laughter echoed through the crisp autumn air. She ran ahead, then turned, small hand raised. Ethan jogged to catch her. "Daddy, do you think Ms. Winters would like my new painting?" she asked, holding up a watercolor of a castle, a tall man, a little girl, and a woman in a suit watching over them. Ethan knelt beside her, touched by the detail. "She would love it, Lily. She's seen what a wonderful father you have." Lily's smile was radiant, her confidence restored. And for Ethan, it was a reminder of why he endured every insult, every challenge, because these were the moments that mattered, the moments that defined his life. The following week, the Meridian contract was officially secured. The office buzzed with congratulations and relief. As the team dispersed, Alexandria approached him once more. "Ethan," she said softly. "May I speak with you?" "Yes," he replied, heart hammering. She led him to a quiet balcony overlooking the city skyline. Night had fallen, and the lights sparkled below. The air was crisp, electric with anticipation. "I've watched you handle every challenge, personal, professional, with grace," she began. "I respect you immensely. But there's something else," her voice faltered slightly. "I've come to admire you. As a man. As Lily's father. As someone who inspires me in ways I didn't expect." Ethan felt a warmth flood through him, a mixture of relief, joy, and burgeoning affection. "Alexandria. I've felt the same," he admitted. "I didn't know if it was appropriate, but—" She smiled, a hint of vulnerability beneath her usual composed exterior. "Sometimes, the heart chooses what the mind cannot command." And in that moment, above the glowing city lights, their unspoken connection became tangible, a spark of hope, respect, and slow-burning love. In the days that followed, the Meridian project thrived under Ethan's leadership. Lily flourished, her confidence buoyed by the support and admiration around her. Alexandria and Ethan navigated the beginnings of a slow, respectful romance, grounded in mutual admiration and shared values. The office and home life became intertwined subtly, with small gestures showing trust, care, and affection. Life was far from perfect, but it was real, deeply felt, and emotionally rich.